Engage for Success Radio, raising the profile of employee engagement and shining a light on good practice for people who believe there's a better way to work.
Good afternoon and welcome to Engage for Success radio show number 650. That's 50. Aligning organisational mission with employees' life purpose. So today we're going to be talking about how institutions perform best when people understand not only what they do, but why they do it. I'm Jo Dodds, Director of Operations, Communication and Culture at Chirpy Heat and part of the Engage for Success volunteering team. The Engage for Success movement is an inclusive movement committed to the idea that there is a better way to work by releasing more of the capability and potential of people at work. We spread the word about employee engagement and shine a light on good practice, inspiring people and workplaces to thrive. And we're widely supported across the UK, involving the public, private and third sectors. If you go to our website, engageforsuccess.org, you can use the link at the bottom of the page to join our newsletter list, and all our social media links are there too. My guest today is Emerson Resende, who's founder of Zeno Life Plan and a former UN climate finance leader. Welcome, Emerson. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Jo. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Lovely. So start by telling us a bit about who you are and what you do.
Indeed. I spent 15 years of my career working across the United Nations system, climate negotiations, helping countries and organizations to do strategic planning. And after a lot of personal crisis, I decided to leave the UN and go deep to learn about clarity for my own life and how I could structure for better decisions, faster decisions, and more accurate decisions for my own life. And that was the beginning of this journey that became ZenoLifePlan.com.
Lovely. Well, tell us a bit more about what Zeno Life Plan is, and that I guess will help us to see where that how that transition happened.
Indeed. Zeno Life Plan is a methodology of 4 steps that helps people produce 2 clear outputs. 1 is a life plan, 2 is a life purpose statement. And if you look at an organization, clarity comes from planning, from strategic planning organizations. So companies, they have business plans. And if things are going in accordance to the plan, the company continues to follow the plan. Once things are not aligned, the company stops, take a look at the plan, readjust, and continues. We are the same, but the difference is clarity for people does not come from thinking. Clarity comes from structure. Let me give you a very clear example. Jo, I assume you have a wardrobe, as all of us probably have a wardrobe home where you have our clothes in. So once you open your wardrobe and things are clearly organized inside, it's not because you stopped and you start thinking. It's because you adopt a certain structure on how to organize your clothes. It could be by colors, by season, by function. And by adopting a structure, you achieve clarity. The same goes for our lives. We all have 7 areas in our lives, and career is one of those 7. But for us to achieve the level of clarity that I know what I want, I know why I want it, and how I get there, I need to adopt a certain structure on how to plan and answer what do I truly want. And that's what Zeno Life Plan is about. It's a 4-step methodology that helps people to achieve that clarity. And now we bring that for organizations. And why that? Because organizations that have people, their workforce, with clarity about what they truly want in every area of their lives, including career, is a workforce much more engaged with much higher productivity. Engagement, it's an output. It's something you achieve once you have clarity. So later on, I'm going to tell a little bit about Gallup's research that tells that only 1 in 4 employees is engaged at work.
Yeah.
Back to you, Jo.
So you talked about a 4-step plan. Did you want to talk about what that is, or do you
want
to talk a bit about the employer, why an employer would want to do this first? Maybe start with the 4 steps, and then we can go back into why we would do that in organizations.
Let's do that. So let me introduce the 4 steps. For all of you that's listening to us today, if you have a pen or a paper that you can just take notes there, because it's very simple. And the beauty of this methodology is in its simplicity. So I told you that this is the result of my own struggles and pains. I suffered from migraine for 12 years of my life. Clinical case, very, very strong. One day when I was living in Germany, I woke up, decided not to take migraine pills anymore. But I didn't know how to solve that. And that's when I came across one of the core foundations of this methodology that's called Vipassana meditation. Vipassana meditation. That's a Buddhist technique of meditation. I've never meditated in my life until that moment, but I decided just to try. And I went to one of those silence retreats that you stay there for 10 days, total silence, no cell phone, no books to read, no exercise, no talking. You meditate 12 hours per day. You eat only twice. Breakfast at 6:30 in the morning, lunch at 11 in the morning, a cup of tea at 5 p.m., and no more eating. And that started to break me, literally. On the second day, I went to talk to the instructor during the lunch break to get some clarity about my meditation technique. And I said that I couldn't do it. I was suffering from so much headache, so much back pain. And in that moment, he said, "It's okay, you can leave now." And he shook my hand. And then he said, "Where is your attention right now while shaking my hand?" I said, "It's right here with you." He continued shaking my hand and pressing stronger. And he said, "Where is your attention right now?" And I said it again, "It's right here with you." Why he kept pressing my hand stronger and stronger until I couldn't hold my hand anymore. Like the pain was so hard. And he asked again, "Where is your attention?" And I said, "It's right there on my hand. It's so much pain." He's like, "Your attention, your migraine is the same. It does not start very strong as I'm pressing your hand now. It starts very gentle. But you said your attention wasn't in your hands. You said it's right here." And that's the issue. The issue in our life starts with we putting attention and focus on what we are working on right in front of us. And why I'm saying this? Because this is one of the core foundations of this methodology: attention, awareness. And then I started to learn about something that was totally new for me. It's Stoicism, the Greek philosophy. That's another core foundation of this methodology. Why? Because I learned through Stoicism that I can only control my actions, never what people say to me, do to me, or what they give to me. If you listen to this, pay close attention. There's only 2 exchanges in the world. You either give or you receive, but you do not control receiving. You don't control being recognized. You don't control being loved. You don't control being given anything. You only control your actions. And once you learn that, you implement that in your life, you start to think, what do I truly want? If everything is available for me, what is it that I want? And with that, Jill, I'm going to tell you the 4 steps very quickly. Step number 1 of the methodology, it's called fulfillment. And I need to decide what I want to feel like when everything is going great in each one of the 7 areas of my life. And these areas are finance, career, spirituality, friends and society, and health, my relationship to my partner, and my family. Note that family and partner are 2 separate areas. We relate to each other differently. And if everything is going great in each one of these 7 areas, what is it that I want to feel like? You know, it might sound like an easy question, but it's not. It's not, because none of us has ever been taught about emotional intelligence. The low-hanging fruit answer is happiness. Oh, I want to feel happy. I want to feel loved. Well, but you don't control loved. You control only your action, never what you get in return. So if I want to feel loved, I'm going to love. I'm going to be loving towards others. And if I want, for example, let's pick finance. What is it that I want to feel like when my financial life's going great? For one person, it could be freedom. For another person, it could be abundance. For another person, it could be gratitude. And each one of these feelings will lead you towards different actions to get there. So I need to know with crystal clarity what I want to feel like before I work on it. And why is it feelings? Joe, it's because everything you and I and everybody else listening to us now, everything we do is because of a feeling, not an emotion, a feeling. We do things because we want to feel in a certain way. Emotions are connected to thoughts. They are short term. If you feel anger, it's because you're thinking about something. The moment you stop thinking about that, that anger subsides. So we want to decide what I want to feel like. That's step number one. Step number two is called your assets. Your assets. And there are three categories of assets that you are after in your life. All the material things you want to own, a car, a house, a Chanel bag, a Louboutin pair of shoes, whatever material you want to buy. The second kind of assets, it's the things you want to learn, skills you want to develop. It could be professional skills. It could be to learn to play the saxophone. It could be to fly an airplane. It could be to speak French. All the things you want to learn, and you write them down. You write them down, each one of them, regardless of your possibility. You're not answering how. You're answering what. What do I truly want? If you don't have to think, oh, I don't have the money, I don't have the time. That question, how, comes later. All the things you answer here, it's connected to three questions, and always in this sequence. First of all, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want to own? What do I want to learn? And the third element of your assets, it's the things you want to experience. What do you want to live? For example, I want to climb the Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. I want to take my mother on a trip towards Southeast Asia. I want to do a yoga retreat in Indonesia. So these are activities that are really important for one person. So again, the step number two of the Zeno Life Plan methodology is called assets. And there are three types of assets: the material things you want to own, the things you want to learn, and the things you want to do, the activities. And that takes us to step number three of the methodology. There's only 4 steps. The third one is turning everything you want to feel like, everything you want to own, learn, and do into SMART objectives. Some of the people listening to us right now might be familiar with the methodology SMART objectives. It's a methodology published back in the 80s in the Harvard Business Review, and it's an acronym, the word SMART, and it stands for specific, measurable, realistic, attainable, and time-bound. So every objective that I write, it should be SMART: specific, realistic, measurable, attainable, and time-bound. So we're going to transform the things you want to feel like into objectives that you can achieve on a specific timeline that fits your life. It's not about, oh, what do you want to be like, or what do you want to achieve in 10 years? No, it's based on what I want. I will address that in a timeline that works for me. That's the way it works. So once you build step number 1, what do you want to feel like? Step number 2, what do you want to own, learn, and do? And in step number 3, your SMART objectives. Now you have the first output of the Zeno Life Plan methodology. That's your life plan. And what is a life plan? It's a plan for your life, which you adjust as you go. Hey, Emerson, how often shall I adjust my life plan? I look at my own life plan once a year and I adjust as I go. Everything of my objectives, my activities, it's already on my calendar, on my reminders. I don't have to be thinking about that. I put that into my life as I go by. And now, Jill, that takes us to the last of the 4 steps of the methodology. And that is your life purpose statement. So for that, I need everybody to think about life purpose, not as an objective, not as a goal, not as something that you're going to achieve tomorrow, only a direction. Let me give an example. If you and I got on a boat, in fact, I got my sailing license last year, and we decided to sail. And let's say we pick direction north. Question, will we ever get there? And the answer is no, because north is not a destination. You don't find north on the map. That's just a direction. We'll keep going. And life purpose is the same. It's a direction that you align yourself to and you follow the direction. You're not meant to get there or achieve it. You always work towards that direction. And step number 4 of the methodology is exactly that. Once you build your life plan through steps 1, 2, and 3, your life purpose becomes crystal clear. And all of our life purpose is made of 3 key elements, all of us in the entire planet. Number 1, growth. Growth, because all of us come here to grow, to improve, to learn, to become a better person day after day. The second element of our life purpose is called experiences. Why? Because all of the things I do to grow, to learn in life is through experiences. Therefore, I need to decide what kind of life experiences I want to have. And the third element of our life purpose, it's called contributions. Contributions. Why? Because I said before, there's only 2 exchanges in life. You either give or you receive. And it's when I give that I contribute. And it's through contributions that I become a better person. And by building your life plan, all of these 3 elements become crystal clear and you can write your life purpose. Why? Why do I need to know my life purpose? Because your decisions become clear, faster, more accurate, with less regrets. And now, why all of this is important for employers? If you are a vice president of human resources, a director of human resources, a CEO, a VP in a company, and you're listening to this, you might be asking, why my workforce needs the Zeno Life Plan methodology? Because if you have a business plan and you're following that and you have clarity through the business plan, you want to make sure your workforce has clarity in each area of their life to follow that business plan and have alignment. Because people without alignment are people that are disengaged. And disengaged, we all know, causes burnout, quiet quitting, higher costs for the company. And if you find out that one person builds their life plan through the Zeno Life Plan methodology and decided that working that company is not for them, you as an employer should be happy because you want that person out of the company earlier than later, costing the company more. So this is what Zeno Life Plan does. We offer this for organizations where companies offer for free the life planning methodology. All of the materials built by the employees is absolutely private to the employee. The company cannot see anything. But then Zeno Life Plan aggregates, anonymize the data, and presents it as a decision-making tool for the companies. For example, where are people leading? What kind of skills they want to develop by department, by sector, never by employee. That's never shown. We can also see the index of burnout. We can see what's the possibility of certain departments building burnout, building quiet quitting, because we have a number of indexes that the methodology show, from clarity by building their life plan, by effort in applying and fulfilling the objectives and tasks. So this is the methodology in a nutshell. Back to you, Joe.
Lovely. So that all sort of, as an individual listening to that, makes complete sense and sounds really intentional for people. And I can see how that can be really helpful. What's the sort of argument from an employer point of view? I mean, obviously, if you've got an employer who is quite altruistic in outlook, some organizations do lots of things that don't look like they directly relate to sort of getting the job done. And the good organizations, the really good organizations to work for, I guess. But most organizations, I would say, would on the face of it struggle with a concept that was very sort of individual focused and not seemingly connected to the work. And I'm sure you've got some explanation of that. So, when you talk to organizations, why is it important for them to help their employees to think about these sorts of things? How does that impact the engagement?
Certainly. Jill, I entered through 3 large organizations last year. One is the World Bank, another one it's a development bank also based in Washington, D.C., and a private sector company that leads a franchising business with over 150 franchise stores. And all of them had the same question. The same question is, how does this help my company? And all of them came to me saying, but I already have a lot of data because I do satisfaction surveys. I do a service about exiting the company. I was like, all of this data you have is backwards looking. You know what happened in the past. You know why the person left the company. You know what happened last year about satisfaction. You have no data whatsoever future looking. You don't know what people want to do. They don't what they want to develop, what they want to achieve. So the changing element here is stop looking backwards and start looking forward. And you bring the data again in anonymized format for the employees. So you have the elements of benefits that the company offer for their people. The company benefits from having a lot of intelligence, workforce intelligence, to decide on elements about reducing risks of burnout, reducing risk of disengagement. You can see earlier where people are leading with their own lives. I'll give one specific example. The methodology for organizations has something called effort index. So every employee is invited once a week to log into the account, totally private, once their life plans is built. And the question is, how do you feel this week about your current effort towards each one of the life areas? For example, how do you feel about your efforts this week about the objectives you set for your career? And they score themselves on a 0 to 10 scale. And we start building a little bit of history with that. So we can see that certain department has an effort lower than 4, lower than 5. Another department has an effort above 8 and 9. So the effort itself, it's used on the composition of the index for burnout, index for quiet quitting, and engagement. So now we don't have to wait one entire year to look at, oh, now I know why people are leaving, or now I know why only 1 of 4 employees in my company is engaged. And this is an official data from Gallup. Gallup has been researching companies all over the world for over 20 years. The research that they published last March indicates, again, only 1 in 4 employees is engaged. So why would the company wait an entire year to see that and not know exactly where those people are? By having workforce intelligence, you can address that much earlier. For example, you can call a leader of a certain department and say, look, we can see by the data provided by the Zeno Life Plan methodology that 3% or 30% of your workforce is performing in this way. Perhaps this is something you can bring to your team meeting. We don't have to address anyone individually. So the difference here is to turn from backward to future looking and anticipate decisions that can put the company clarity aligned with people's clarities.
So how do you go about implementing this with an organization? I think you mentioned a few that you've worked with. What's the process?
For sure. The process first is we run a demo of the company. So we show them what the platform is for their employees and what it is for themselves. So we run a demo with them. Number 2, we learn about their IT requirements, because all of the platform, all of the workforce intelligence, as I said, the part related to the employee, totally private to the employee, never stays in the databases of the company, stays in our database. Part 2, once we learn about the technology they use and the securities that they use, Zeno Life Plan just adequates to that. And we come to the company in 2 phases. Phase 1, we run that in a small group first to test. Part 2, we come full on, and every employee will get a login. So they register, that's private. They can access from their home, from their work laptop, from their mobile phones. And the company will have the workforce intelligence dashboard and all live information that they can access at any time. So the process takes about 30 days from demo to full implementation. That's how it works.
Lovely, thank you. So if we were talking to a leader currently, which we are on this podcast, and they're thinking about sort of next steps, we quite often talk about, what would somebody do on Monday morning, having listened to this? What sort of practical steps can organizations take towards really building that engagement and having more purposeful workforce? Where should they begin?
Indeed. I think one thing that I would do if I was myself sitting in a company leading a team, I would, all right, wait a second. All the decisions that I have been making so far about my people is backward looking. It's exit interviews and satisfaction surveys. I want to be ahead of the curve. I want my business plan aligned with my people's plans, because once I have clarity about what I want as an organization, and I know that my people have clarity what they want, and both align, I'm sure my company perform better and engagement increases. I no longer look backwards, I look forward. Now, how I do this? Just log in into zenolifeplan.com. That's zenolifeplan.com. And you can just click there on request a free demo. You send a little message to us, we'll get in touch with you, and we run you through a 20 minutes demonstration on how the platform works live. And then we'll take this to your company. So you can join a lot of organizations that have been already testing and using our intelligence, the likes of the World Bank, United Nations organizations, private companies, and we bring this worldwide. We are based in Europe, but we have a lot of clients in the United States and also in Asia.
Lovely, thank you, Emerson. It's been really interesting talking to you today. I would usually say where can people find out more, but you've given that information, so that's really helpful. Thank you. And yeah, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody, and have a great week.
And just let you know, next week we've got Fiona Stevens, who's the Migrant Help UK Director of People and Culture, and she's just recently been named in the HR Magazine's most influential list for 2026. She's been a guest on the show before, and she's been invited back, and we'll be talking to Andy Gorham next week.
Engage for Success Radio, raising the profile of employee engagement and shining a light on good practice for people who believe there's a better way to work.